Hello viewers, welcome to another weekly episode of the RENKO Edge, where I take a look at the RENKO charts in the futures markets to see what could be moving and shaking for the week ahead. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, all helps the channel. Don't forget to hit the notification buttons either. Lots more content coming your way. So let's start with just seeing who were the movers and shakers from last week. Let's dive straight in there. Probably a bit small on your screen here, but I'll point them out. The big winners last week: palladium up over 9%. We got lumber up over 8%, coffee nearly 7%, orange juice bouncing back just over 6%, and then we've got the cryptos, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the better of the two, up over 5%, and the hot stock market, if I can say that correctly, at the moment, Nikkei, up nearly 3.5%, just over 3.5%. Another one of interest there down there, silver, up nearly 3%. Now, what about the flip of that? Who were the bad boys of the week? Well, we got nat gas at the bottom, down just over 4%. Rice futures down nearly 3.5%. Cattle markets, after doing so well for so long, slipping a bit there, 2-3% down, but actually quite positive for a large chunk of the futures market last week. So as I normally do, I'll run through the basic charts further, and if we need to dive in and get some more detail, something looks interesting, we will do so. So let's start right at the top of my list with copper. As you can see, had that big sell-off. We can even pull it in even closer, just to let you appreciate that down move was sort of over July, all the way down to the lows towards the end of that month, literally the end of the month. Let's put the old Fibonacci's on there for a long-term look. Got to really get through that 4.72 area. At the moment, it's all ranging to those lows, 4.3495 to 4.72. Next upside, 4.95, I reckon, with that Fibonacci there. Shorter term, you can look, well, I use the 45-minute ATR for the, so call it the longer term trending view, and then we've got the 20-minute and the 9-minute. At the moment, a bit of a mixed bag on that lot. And in terms of current direction, just turning negative, as you can see there on the very quick setup on the stochastics. Let's tidy that up. Let's move on to gold. What's been going on with gold? Gold looks like it's having a bit of a breather at the moment, as you can see around there at the top. Gone a bit quiet and a bit sideways, but that is a nice little setup for maybe a possible further move, breakout on the up. Seasonality wise, it's always strong at this time of year. Let's just put the old Fibonacci's on them. Let's drill into that a bit more, because we do like gold at the moment. Upsides there for gold. We're talking about 3,800 for gold there. We're looking quite good in the short term. Like I said, we've got this sideways range. We've got to see it break out support wise, back down to 3,630, 3,650 in that zone there if it fails, but still looking good. The signs there for a further move up, and we're going to see the same with silver. Silver's actually done the breakout. We've got that sideways range there just popping out at the moment. Let's see where it could end up. Remember, like I said last week, silver, a bit like gold's little sister, follows it most of the time, but will have its moody tantrums and burst off in its own direction, and it's actually leg gold this time, stopping right at that let's call it 42.95 area. Next upsides 44.58, pull back down to that support around 41.5. Failure would see 40.5 as its zone, but looking quite good for silver. Just retracing, maybe a bit of profit taking there before it consolidates again and maybe pushes on upwards. So silver looking quite nice. Platinum, seasonality wise, it is pretty bearish, and the other charts not looking that great. But palladium, on the other hand, I'd say over the last, well, September, let's call it, hasn't been too bad really. In terms of seasonality wise, what do we have? I've got my little template that I'll share with you there from the seasonality. Palladium down here, pretty neutral. Is it in September? Yeah, neutral in September. In terms of metals, we've got strong gold, strong silver, neutral palladium, weak platinum there. So platinum, palladium, sorry, could be, as it pulled back enough for, yeah, I'll look at that. Very nice on the stochastic, so the Fibonacci. Pulled straight back to that 12.17 area, looking to bounce back. Next stop up 12.43, then those highs 12.76. Then can it get to the round number 1300? Looking quite nice there for palladium. Then into some currencies. Now, my picks for the currencies at the moment: Australian dollar, I've just flagged them there. Australian, euro, Swiss franc to the upside on the weaker US dollar. You can see the Aussie dollar there moving on very nicely in the last few weeks, and in the shorter term as well, medium term, all still holding quite bullish. Just flick over to my currency strength tool. We might pick out that yellow line there. The 45-minute one on the right hand side, still showing the Australian dollar currency strength tool that I use, still holding stronger than the US dollar. So still looking like it's got some up legs in it, and it's very much similar for the euro, similar shape, pushing on upwards, and the Swiss franc. As for the other currencies, not much interest there from me at the moment. We can have a quick look through the charts. Pound, it's breaking up at the moment, so maybe a late follower to the party. Let's have a look at some Fibonacci's on that one. Let's take the obvious high to low there. You've even got, if you were trying to pull something out of this one, sort of a heads and shoulders on the type thing. So maybe pound's worth a further look as it comes up to like the 1.3839 area possibly there. And Canadian dollar, nothing much in that for me there. Short term, looking like it's pushing up, down to, longer term in this sort of quite wide range. So maybe more of a mean reversion type setup there. Japanese yen, again, like last week, still stuck in that box. So looking for the breakout. Signs are there. Sort of got to get through that higher where it's sitting now, and then you've got further overhead in that area. So that's probably the lines. Let's just see if that lines up with the old Fibonacci. Pretty much. So yeah, tough one to play, that, the Japanese yen. And Brazilian real, same, looking like a bit more positive, but harder to trade on futures due to lack of liquidity. And then the peso, again, it looks like it's failed its breakout. Let's draw on that. So you had that nice zone here, and it's just broken out up here, pulled back into that area, which was 0.0537. So maybe fell from here back into this range, 0.532 to 0.537. looking always for, looking for it to hold above, those regular stops at that area if you're more bullish on the old Mexican peso. Into the crypto world, Bitcoin, nothing too exciting there after hitting those highs, nearly 125,000. Quick look there, current indicators are down. We've got double top forming there at the moment. That was in at 117,000. Got this next Fibonacci, and then that one to the downside. So more severe pullback down to 111, 112,000 possibly there. The stronger Fibonacci bet for a pullback is this 114,000 zone there. And in the short and medium term, also looking a bit weak. Ethereum, probably the better of the two over the recent months. You can see from that chart there, again looking like it's topping out in that sort of box, well, we'll call it narrowing triangle there, which can be a bullish signal for a move on up there. So watch out for Ethereum. Any of you Ethereum traders out there, let's just see a potential upside. What are we talking then numbers wise? If it does break through those highs around 4,850 zone, we're looking at 5,250, 5,400 maybe to the upside there. But at the moment, as you can see in the short term, medium term, we're in a bit of a downtrend. So wait for that, maybe buy the dip opportunity for it to move on back upwards. Crude oil, what's been going on there? Not a lot really. It's still the same as last week. We've got this base, strong base in around $61.75. Been stuck in, we're not wanting to go below that, you can see there for a while. Let's put on the Fibonacci's. You can see that range there, 61.79, 63.78. Between those Fibonacci lines there. Upsides, you're talking $65 if it can still hold. And we've got high 66 around that peak there in beginning of the month. 61.89, $67 a push maybe to the upside, but watch another pullback down to that 61.75, call it, breaks there. You might have a little play around, a bit of mind games as it maybe pulls back to that area, before maybe snaking on down lower. So interesting one to watch as well there. In the medium short term, not a lot going on. Heating oil, probably similar pattern, very correlated to the WTI there, so we don't really need to focus there. Nat gas, a bit disappointing because seasonality wise could be stronger, but if you look at the charts at the moment, you'd only be looking to head south across all the time frames there. And if you were bearish it from that double top up there, where would we be talking to the downside? Well, we've got this zone in here, 2.8924, but possibly here, 2.835, 2.762 to the downside. If it can support itself around that 0.5 Fibonacci line, then probably see a bit more range bound price action. Arbol gasoline, looking weak, maybe down to these lows here, 1.9. And then to the stock indices, S&P still performing very well. That and the Nikkei, as I mentioned earlier, I think the best two around at the moment. Let's see some potential upside targets for this guy. As you can see, it's been a one-way street for a long time now. Some nice buy the dip type opportunities in there. Some short-term targets. Let's take this recent trend and zoom in a bit more. Yeah, we could be looking at this area sort of here, 650 to 6,700 potential upsides. Pullback support into these two lines sort of here, which are six. Let's call it the round number of 6,500 for a pullback, and maybe another buy the dip opportunity. Short term though, still looking all pretty decent. Nasdaq 100, same story. Again, looking pretty good for upside moves. Keep an eye on the tech stocks to add to the momentum there. And the Nikkei, like I mentioned, also often running very nicely in the last few weeks. Potential upside there. I'll be targeting, let's say, 45,500 as a short-term target, maybe even 46,500 on at a push. In the shorter term, you can see it's gone a bit sideways at the moment, so wait for potential breakouts or upside momentum. Into some softs now. Cotton, nothing spectacular to talk about there. Coffee, again, regaining its upside momentum. Some good fundamentals in there to support that, further push on upwards. Let's pull it back, see if there's any upside obvious targets where you got this big highs, so 416, 17 sort of area for short-term upside. If I pull it back any further, that really is the high before, you can see down the bottom there, we've got last 2 or 3 years. So let's just hypothesize if it could break those highs, where it could go to. This is much longer term than our weekly look, mind you. Put a bit more science to the analysis. 424 zone looks like the highs, and then further ups 463, 484, 513 if it really does break out. Downsides, look at this 61.8 Fibonacci line here. It's really supported there at 368, 370 sort of zone, and then it's a big drop back down to 313 area. But short term as well, medium term, all looking pretty tasty. Orange juice bouncing around. Look for hurricanes. Hurricane season, Florida, coming up your way soon. Cocoa staying weak at the moment, pretty neutral in the short and medium term zones. Sugar, got this key area at the bottom here, 15.5. As I want to bring, and then at the top as well, see that double top around 17. So a lot of price action could be seen in here, and then watch for the breaks either side. Short medium term zone pretty flat. What else have we got going into those cattle? We said they've been doing pretty well the last few months, and we've just had the pullback. You see the uptrend, very nice strong uptrend there, and then we just got that pullback. As you can see, this is live cattle. Let's just put on the Fibonacci, see whether that pullback's hitting any key sort of numbers. Might still have a bit more in it, 226 possibly, and then down into this slippery zone here, or is it a buy the dip there? Going over to the other cattle, the feeder cattle, same sort of story really. The big question is it buy the dip? Is it a continuation down? Looks like around 340 there for maybe first line of support. Shorter and medium terms all negative, so it's not the time yet to be buying the dip if you're still bullish. The hogs, always after their seasonal sell-off, you get the seasonal buy back in as well, and doing that lovely little bottom there playing out, and upsides, if I can get the right button. Well, you can see it's been playing the Fibonacci's nicely, hitting there maybe a pullback to 94 3/4. Some more upside gains if you're following the seasonality there. What else have we got? Some smaller players here. Dry way futures bouncing back after that sell-off in the short mean term, looking not too bad there to the upside. And what else we got? Milk, short term, medium term, long term, all pulling back into that noise around sort of 17.5 zone. Lumber, seasonally weak actually, so it's an unusual play there. We've got the support in at the bottom there, bumping on upwards. Now let's just Fibonacci this guy, see whether it's done enough. It is at the 38.2, so, and we are quite over bought here, so I'd wait for the signals for a downside play back down to those lows at 520 there, but I wouldn't be doing it right now because, as you can see, all the indicators flagging bullish at the moment. What else we got? Canada, maybe bouncing back from that longer term sell-off. Corn breaking on up possibly. We got this pattern here, maybe a move there. It has done quite a bit since August. Let's just have a quick look seasonality wise what happens with corn. Where are we? Corn at the top there, September, pretty neutral actually. Let's go through the others while we're here. Weak soybean oil, weak soybeans, bullish wheat, bullish oats, bullish rough rice. Yeah, so corn's not doing too bad actually. Let's just see if we can pull out anything obvious. It has been on well, the obvious there is it's been on quite a slippery slope, so it's hard to find the Fibonacci high lows. Well, we can see the low, but we'll take this trend here. Quite a lot of noise around there. And if you look at that, it did hit that Fibonacci line and pull back. So we might be seeing back to those tops there around 423. Further support that 61.8 Fibonacci line, 415, before possibly moving on back again, 440. But I say it's a long way down. If it does break below that area to call it the 380, 390 mark, short medium term, we're just starting to see the pullback there. Maybe a bit of profit taking as it broke out through that sort of range area that we highlighted. One to watch, but at the moment it looks a bit weak in the shorter term. Soybeans, we said on the seasonality chart it didn't look too good. The chart doesn't look that encouraging for anything exciting. Bit of a mess with these very quick snapbacks all the time. I would be thinking in that range, 4073, 985, maybe a bit of a mean reversion type play there. And soybean oil futures bouncing back from the sell-off. Some more obvious highs and lows there to draw our charts on. I might get the right button one day. You can see there support back at 51.5. Potential upside. It's just breaking through this 52 and 30 cents, 38.2 Fibonacci line. Then we've got 53, 53.5 area to the upside, and then you're sort of getting into that breakout territory, which we saw back in August, to potentially move on up to 55 short term. Not looking bad for soybean oil. And you could say, you know, if you're still bullish, upside target 53 there for a good upside move that's taking out the rest of that uptrend. And then the meal, looking a bit weaker. I'd be looking at pullback down to 281. There's a possible move there, short term, medium term, all week as well. Oats, what have we got? Well, looks like a bit of trend continuation down there, still negative. And rice futures, also very negative. And what did we say for seasonality? I think it said it was normally bullish this time of year. We did, yeah. So breaking the trend there to the downside. You can see pretty much from September it has been a one-way street, a bumpy one-way street, let's call it. Further downside, goes from here spot 375 possibly there is a downside, and the short term and medium term as well, it's also pretty negative at the moment. And finally, what have we got? We've got wheat. Is it recovering? Now wheat, as we said on the seasonality, is, yeah, it's not too bad, bullish normally at this time of year. Let's do our last bit of analysis here. A bit like corn, it's hard to pick out the tops and bottoms, but we haven't got a nice one there back in June time. Let's draw around that and then zoom in for the closer picture. Short term obviously trending upwards, as you can see there. We had these lows at just over 500, and then we're in this tight zone up to that Fibonacci 38.2%, which is 535. We can go up from there, got 545, 556, and 570. That looks like a lot of work to get there, but you got this noise over here, so maybe 556, the best upside you could hope for there. Shorter term, medium term, also looking bullish, but in a range. So in terms of summarize, there's some interesting trades there. Palladium, Australian dollar, euro, Swiss franc, all looking good on the currencies. The S&P 500, Nikkei index still looking strong. Yeah, so like I said, some interesting places to watch there. Got some comments coming in, see if there's anything we've got. Thank you for joining in. I could add the Nifty chart. I'll do that for next week. I'll add in the Nifty. It's not on the CME or the US markets, which most of this analysis is from, but I can certainly do the Nifty. I do like trading it myself. It's a good one to have. I know we have a few followers there from India as well that might appreciate that. So yeah, I'll add that in for next week. So hope you found today's session interesting. And you can apply that into your trading. Got some ideas for you there, some markets to look out for. Let me know how you get on in the comments below over the week. And hopefully you can join me again back here this time, same place, next week. And like I said right at the start, don't forget to hit the subscribe buttons and notification buttons for all the other content and stuff coming from my channel your way. So thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon. See ya.